Yo, what's up guys? It's Reek back again, and for today's video, I will be doing an updated Limb deck profile with accelerated ranked gameplay after. Also, I will be uploading the Marco deck profile and guide this Sunday. And please let me know if you would want a similar video like this for Marco too. I would also like to thank everyone who liked and commented on my first video. I will keep all the feedback and any more feedback in mind. Now let's get into the deck list. Alright, here's the list. So still got earlier Limb, of course. Won't go through all the cards because it's just like a follow-up from the last video. But we have one Apu now, mostly because he's just like the 9th one cost, and before I had 2 of them. And still on 3 Sakazuki, 3 Sabo, and 3 Dofi, just because these are the ones without non-play, so if they die and get removed like the turn they're played, then they accomplish nothing basically. And they're the ones you basically want to play the least in the late game, so they're great in the early game. Well, Sabo's great in the early game. Dofi can be good in the early game too. 4 Limb, of course, 4 Newgate, 4 Nellen, and Mihawk because they're the best ones. We have 2 Smoker. Basically, I added 2 Smoker because he's a going second card, similar to Senior Pink. But the problem with Senior Pink is that he is significantly worse versus Teach, because for one, he's on play, and also he doesn't have Banish and can't continuously just keep Activate main. So Smoker is like more of a balanced version of Senior Pink, especially since versus Shanks also he's a 7k body, whereas Senior Pink's just another 6k body. And Senior Pink is like more of like a Dofi counter because you can just grab there's a strong summon down play like Smoker, but you can also like game grab Blast Breath. And so I just made Senior Pink a 1 of and Smoker a 2 of, and basically these are the 3 good plays on 7 Dawn. Then we have 3 Nami, just my favorite Odyssey 2K. 4 1 cost Limb, of course, 4 Orochi, and yeah, if you don't know what this card does, it just adds this double fruit. And yeah, this was 4 in the last video too. Yeah, love using this card. And 2 Sasaki. This card is basically something I'm trying out as another 3 cost to play on the going first curve. And the reason why I like this card as an option over the other 3 costs is that it replaces itself and it helps you dig through your deck more, whereas all the other 3 costs besides Limb don't really do that. So this can help you continue to dig, which is really important, especially when you play cards like an L, so you can like draw 4 and trash 2. And so next we have the 1 Usahashi, which I mentioned, and then 1 Smile Fruit for the Orochi, and then 2 Top Knot. 2 Top Knot, mostly because sometimes this card can get like stuck in the hand, and it's like really amazing anytime it can get value in like most games, but I think it's good to just move this down to 2 and then leave the finishing game to scenarios, which this all the time does to like other cards, and so 2 feels nice. And then we have 4 Blast Breath, because this card is kind of insane, this deck. Going first, second, beginning of the game sometimes, or mid game, late game, all the time. It's just a great card. And yeah, that's the list. Alright, on to accelerated high rank matches. These will be 6 matches on 3 times speed this time, and my rank during these matches is around 11,000. I will try to talk about the matchups and what to look for in that matchup, and some of my thought process during these matches. Alright, on to the games. So first up we have Purple Luffy, and I actually cannot get it to 3 times speed because of music. And so we keep this hand because we have Orochi and Dofi, and then that allows us to not have a rested character versus Luffy, which is pretty nice. Important thing with Luffy is obviously we want to go first, which is I guess most matchups, but we just want to pressure them because they need to take their life to ramp, and so we need to pressure them. And so I swing 5 with Leah here to bait the block. They do take the bait, and then I do actually use Sophie and then Mihawk to attack twice. If they didn't block there, I would have played 3-cost Limb, and it would depend on what I saw off Limb if I would just play Mihawk. Then we luckily draw another Mihawk, which is really, Mihawk's like one of the best cards in this matchup because it just allows us to put a lot of pressure on Luffy, and if they go second, it's like a lot for him to handle. If they go first, it's still a decent amount for him to handle. It's like one of the ways that we like fine if we see no Mihawks going second versus Luffy. And I just swing 6s here, and then, well, 6 twice and then 7 because I knew I was going to Mihawk. And I also used my Mihawk early there because I know I have another Mihawk. And since I know I have another Mihawk, then I always just use the Mihawk. I protect here because presumably this is the last turn, so there's no reason to not use my counter power. And this puts him in a pretty left situation even if he didn't know that I had the last Mihawk in hand. And so yeah, they just concede because there's no shot. Next up we have Teach. We get a pretty bad hand. They also choose to go second, which is good on them because I would have chose to go second, just because it's more consistent, especially since versus Teach. If we go second and then we have like blast breath and in the body, they probably will swing into it and they can just blast breath and save our body. And yeah, but yeah, our hand was it's pretty bad after the mulligan, so yeah, it's not looking great. But you know, and they also swing into it. But next turn we play Sakazuki because if we played our Mihawk, we'd only be able to play one body anyways, and this way it's not like an easy kill with one other ways to kill a 5-cost. It's also a higher body for them to swing into. They choose to swing into it, and spoilers, they do choose to swing into it again. So it's an interesting game of they don't develop board and just swing into my one card and trash a card. It's actually breaking even because they're trashing a card every turn. Or actually no, technically Lim is winning the trade because they have to toss a card for when I attack into life. And then they have to toss another card when they black hole me. Whereas I'm only giving up one card when I play the one card. But obviously, that still favors Teach because they won the end game. And of cards like Kuzan that replenish when all my cards are replenished hand size cannot be used. Luckily they do play Burgess, which is really good for us because we have top knot. If they didn't play Burgess, we'd probably just be like really screwed. But like now we're like back in the game, and they swing their Sakazuki again. There's like really poor clearing. And then here I just swing 9 with leader and then play a Sakazuki. And the reason why I don't play the limb is because if they play Teach, I don't want them to give a free swing into my 5-cost body. So if I do this, I like know for sure he's gonna swing face and then freeze the Sakazuki, but the Sakazuki won't die, which is important. And then this turn, I just need to get out bodies and try to set up for a chance for next turn. Yeah, there's a very low chance that he wouldn't just block that because Lim doesn't have rushers. She can't play rushers, so yeah. And I probably should have countered out of this one. That's probably the biggest mistake of this game, because if I count out of it, then you actually can't win next turn unless he attacks with Teach, which you probably wouldn't do because then you would have another blocker up. But yeah, I should have attacked with I should have sent the counter so that he couldn't finish me unless he attacked with other Teach, because then I can guarantee to survive another turn. Because what I do now is I like he tossed 2k to black hole me, so now I like that like telegraphs heavy that he has all 2ks in hand or pretty close to it, so there was no chance I was going to get through 2 blockers on life, especially with my low power bodies. So I thought about it there, but I was like, I just get punished if he has 2Ks, which he certainly has. So so I just swing 5 with Sasaki, and then I'll swing 5 with leader, because yeah, he'll just block. And then I play the smoker just because it's not a counter card, so it doesn't matter anyways. And so I kind of figured that I had the black hole because he tossed a 2K per turn. And so now he has to find the black hole. Unfortunately for me though, he does find a Lafitte into another Lafitte into black hole. So, but in hindsight, I definitely should have just tossed Usuhachi. Even though I think I still just lose because if he swings with a Teach, then he has so many 2Ks I couldn't have finished anyways. So yeah. Yeah, another thing there, if I do actually find a Blast Breath off of that last life, I do actually win, which is kind of crazy. But next up we have Dofi, and they won the die roll, so they go first. The important thing with Dofi is if we go first, it's like a very fine matchup. Even though Dofi's like supposed to be unfavored, it's like really fine if we go first. If we go second, the main thing is that if they keep their Teach on board, it's like really bad for us. So especially since on their 5-dawn turn, they could just 1,000 world our 5-cost body and then play another body. Of course, here they don't have teach on the board, so they can't do the play where they 1000 world our Sabo and still play a body. But the other thing about when we go second versus Dofi is that we're also behind, so, and they put out a lot of pressure. And so we like kind of need to find the blast breaths to survive. That's the reason why in this matchup I like to play a lot of vanillas. I actually don't even play the 5-cross Dofi almost ever in this matchup because like it seems like it would be good, but the problem is he just gets shuffled way too much, and they really like to shuffle. And so yeah, here I was thinking about going Anel, but I just decided to attack twice with Mihawk, which probably should have just Anel'd, but I just wanted to play around pudding more, I guess. I don't know actually. But yeah, I do bluff the blast breath, mostly because I thought I was gonna know. I think I think I actually just like swung with the Sabo on accident, and then I needed to get the draw. But fortunately, just Josu's, which is actually really good for us because we've been really scared if he swung 7, because we would have had to take it because we don't have 2Ks. But that's the good thing about bluffing Blast Breath, is that he would have got punished if he would have done that if I had Blast Breath. So that's the reason why he probably played this passive play, to bounce the Sabo. And then here we just kill the Boa, and we tried to search for Blast Breaths again. We still can't find them, but it's fine now because we have a 2K. Our hand is also like decently big, but at this point it's like honestly fine if he were to playing us because our board is really developed, so he needs to answer it, and like we're not gonna die immediately if he's like playing us. So and we actually don't even have Blast Breath in hand, so it's not even, we can even draw into Blast Breath if he's playing this. Then he Gravity Blades us, Raging Tigers us, Grab Blade Raging Tiger, which is actually fine because we still have an L's in hand, which Grab Blade to Limb is actually not even that bad because it's a 7 cost, right? That shuffles to 6Ks. But if your cards are all doing stuff, you're only paying 8, right? And so if your Mihawk and Anel are getting value, you paid 8, but they already got value. So it's actually not that bad of a trade if they try to Raging Tiger you. Especially since like that means that Dofi's doing less pressure, and you're actually like a little scared of Dofi putting on a lot of pressure if you don't have Blast Breath. But the thing is though, is that if you play 4 Blast Breath, right, then they don't know if you have Blast Breath or not. So so yeah, that's just kind of interesting dynamic of the Lim Dofi matchup. I actually really like this match. I think this is one of the fun matchups to play, because there's just a lot of ways the matchup can go. And now I see his hand size low, so I just decided to go for board. I just use the new gate just to rest, not even to get the kill, but because I know it's a guaranteed kill if I swing with leader. And then he has no cards in hand. I have a Blast Breath. We're like very safe. We have a Mihawk to go for game next turn. Yeah, and then we just take this just because we don't want him to swing into board. Like we don't want to counter and then him swing into board, so we just take. I mean, we don't want to counter and then him swing into board. Even though I guess technically Dofi doesn't have any rushers, so maybe it would have been fine if he swung on board because we could have just killed the Sengoku. But either way, it was fine. Next up we have Shanks. So they play Lucaroo. We go first, which is what we want. but they have a Luckaroo, and we don't have Top Knot. And so I grabbed Sakazuki, expecting him to play Luffy here. Unfortunately, that is not what he plays. Surprise, surprise. He plays... Actually, wait, I'll wait until he does it. Plays Luckaroo. Yeah. He plays another Luckaroo, which I probably should have just took... Actually, I don't remember what were the options anymore. But probably not to Sakazuki. Because no, it was because there was a Mihawk. Because I was deciding between the Mihawk and the Sakazuki, and Mihawk is actually pretty good in this matchup. And so I probably should have just took the Mihawk. But yeah, I find a 2 smokers, blast breath. Actually, wait, did I already have the blast breath? I don't remember. But yeah, I swing with the Sabo. And yeah, I honestly could have rested the Luckaroo again, but I kind of just wanted to get it over with at this point, because we weren't gonna double Top Knot most likely anyways at some point, so just to take the trade when our board is full, I think it's fine. Then he plays a Whitebeard, which I was not expecting, into the Newgate, which is like one of the few ways that he was going to kill my Smoker, which is pretty unfortunate because I was kind of hoping that Smoker was going to put in some work. Luckily, we do find a Top Knot though, and then we do still get another drop of Sabu, which is a good thing about Smoker dying, or Smoker being there, is that Smoker became the highest priority target. But unfortunately, Sabo only drew us a limb, which is not going to do the most for us here. Because we're like, he has way too much life, and a Shanks would be devastating here. And so yeah, and the problem is that was those Luckaroos just like really slowed us down, which is a problem if they play 1 or 2 Luckaroos. Well, if they play 2 Luckaroos, like really bad for us. Except if we don't see a single Top Knot. If we see 1 Top Knot, if we see a Top Knot late and they play 2, it's like kind of rough. So yeah, it's for versus Shanks, like the thing is like the matchup isn't like the worst, but if they do see a lot of Luckaroos, you're just like out of luck, because it's just, you need to like pressure them, and Luckaroo just like takes out so much pressure that you can do. The other thing is I did not see Mihawks, which is really important in this matchup. Like Mihawk is extremely important in this matchup, and like that's also partially on me because I wanted to take a Sakazuki because I wanted to just like instantly kill Luffy because I thought he was gonna play that, but he didn't. And that's on me for not taking the Mihawk. And then technically we still have a chance here because we have 5 bodies. But we don't have a Mihawk. But if we found a Mihawk, then maybe we have a chance. But then the worst possible thing happens here. It's actually legitimately the worst possible thing that can happen, because even with Shanks, we would still have 2 bodies on board. But this is gonna be 2 bodies on board, but one of them is like severely underpowered now because of Rayleigh's effect. So like basically, like we could technically go for a game, but one of our limbs is literally 1,000 power. So like, yeah, and we don't even have a Mihawk anyway. So we have to try to survive another turn. And the problem with that is that actually the Newgate is still on board, which is like a big problem here because he can kill active things, which is like what's really killing the Shanks actually in this, which is I usually don't expect Shanks to play in Newgate, and maybe the matchup is actually a lot worse if they play Newgate. but yeah, because Lim is usually kind of decent in this matchup because she becomes active and then like kill a certain amount of bodies, which is really important because you need a Lim on your, or you need the Odyssey on your field for Mihawk's plays. But yeah, we also can't find another Mihawk here. Even if we did somehow survive, we probably weren't going to go get a game next turn anyways. And also you can later just clear board. It's like guaranteed board clear at this point because he has the negate on board. Yeah, and also in hindsight, I probably should have just like tried to restand both limbs, because once all Odysseys leave the board, it's like really over. But he also has a Beckman, so it wouldn't have mattered. So yeah, we honestly just ran out of steam. Not ran out of steam. We need to find Mihawks, and we need probably more top knots, but like that's unrealistic to find 2 top knots to get the Lucker gone. I guess maybe a top knot earlier would have been nice. And a smoker earlier would have been nice too. Actually, wait. I think I actually might have gotten smoker first because we did go first. Actually, never mind. But yeah, Senior Pink also could have helped to get the second shuffle on a Lucky Roo, which is why Senior Pink can be nice. Yeah, honestly though, it was kind of close. And yeah, our Mihawks were one was in life, and we just ruined another one. Kind of unfortunate. But yeah, that's the other thing too. Is like, I mean, you can't win against Shanks every time. Because it's not the greatest matchup. I actually don't think it's terrible, but it's definitely not like as good as some other matchups. This is just a game. It was actually crazy because if we find another Blast Breath, even though we've used a decent amount of them, we actually do win if we find another Blast Breath there. Which is kind of crazy. So this time we have a Dofi going second, which I think is a really important matchup to show, going against Dofi going second, because I do think that can be one of the harder things. But they did also kind of low roll, so yeah. But yeah, we keep our opening hand because we have 1 cost Lim, of course, and Odyssey really. We do have Dofi too, but 1 cost Lim plus an Odyssey is pretty good. Yeah, I guess actually the previous match was also going second versus Dofi. So yeah, going first. The only thing about going first versus Dofi is that on their 8th down turn, if they still have Teach, then the Gravity Blade is actually really strong. But besides that, going first against Dofi is like really ideal. So we swing 6 and then Lim and now very strong because everything is restanded, which is really nice. But he does go for a Gravity Blade play here, which is like, I mean, it's honestly fine for us because, like I said before, is like if you have on play Odysseys, mostly your Mihawks and your Nels, then the Gravity Blade trade is really not that bad. Especially since Dofi isn't utilizing his Leer ability. which pressures us. And we're like, you know, a little 4 life leader that can be scared of that sometimes. So yeah, the Gravity Blade trade is like honestly fine here. We also can just easily take over board because he didn't put any bodies, and he didn't put that much pressure on us. Yeah, I don't know why I keep checking my trash. I think I'm also just like maybe tired here. And then restand my limb. Mostly because we have a blast breath, so we actually kind of want him to attack into our Mihawk. Which, crazy enough, does do, and we actually have exactly enough counter to protect it with Orochi, where if he was swung face, we would not have enough counter to protect it. But actually, if he was swung face with 11 read, we wouldn't care. But, you know. And now we get a pretty decent top deck in Sakazuki. We were going to clear board regardless, but this allows us to clear board without using our Mihawk and Top Knot resource, which is really nice because I assume he's going to play another Boa blocker, and then so having the Boa blocker, having the Top Knot and Mihawk just really makes us in a good position to go for game next turn. So yeah. The Jojo is actually really nice because our hand size is low and he bounced back in on play. But to be fair, bouncing back Mihawk would be considerably worse because, yeah, I mean Mihawk is a broken on play, so yeah. And so we are actually just gonna utilize the Sakazuki because, you know, it just gives us a kill, which we like. And I was thinking whether to swing into the Gecko or the or leader, and I decided to swing leader because I was going to see if I should just, you know, pressure leader, and I do decide to keep the one cost limb rested for 2 reasons. One is because my hand size is low and it's late game. 2 is because he has no little buys on the board anymore, which is really important because whenever they don't have any little buys on board and Lim takes up an actual swing, that's like actually pretty good for us because then she just becomes a blocker after she like got her value in the early game. And then you bounce back Sakazuki again, but of course we don't actually need Sakazuki anymore. And so here we're actually just going to play pretty safe because we have a blast breath, so we know that if he did push for game next turn, we can survive. The other thing is we want to play around the triggers here because Lim dies to any trigger that you could have. So yeah. I swing 8. I swing 8 again with Lim. In hindsight, I probably should have swung twice with Lim first because I could have got hit by a grab blade trigger or a redirect trigger. For next up, we have Luffy, and we luckily get first again. And we get a decent hand. Actually, the only thing is that a lot of these games I've had the one cost limb, which is not a good sample size because you're not always gonna have one cost limb. Because even though Orochi really isn't that bad with nothing, but I just kept finding one cost limb. So he does go for interesting play of gamma knifing my Dofi because I blocked with it. And the reason why I blocked there is because Luffy doesn't play any rush that early, so I didn't really think he would. I have actually never seen Luffy do that, and honestly I think it's fine because he didn't develop by either, and so we also have Lim, so we're going to develop 2 buys next turn anyways. So yeah, and then he also mises Dawn, which is fine. And then he rests the 1-cost Lim, which we actually don't even care about that much anymore. And then he swings face, which is like very interesting, because we have Blast Breath and Senior Pink, so we're very safe. And so we just want to play safe here because we know we have Senior Pink and Blast Breath. And yeah, I was just thinking about if I wanted to play Lim or Senior Pink here, because I did trash a Blast Breath on the previous turn, and I did decide that I want to play Senior Pink. And yeah, I was gonna play Senior Pink first, but I'm worried that I actually can have 1 down up anyway, so I actually don't need to play Senior Pink first. And so yeah, and we just Gamma Knife early here because we know that we have the Gamma Knife. Then we counter here too, just to be safe. Because as far as we know, we have a decent chance of surviving next turn. Because we have another Blast Breath, so there's no reason to like guarantee that this would be our last turn. And then we swing 6s because he's at 1 life, and so our last attack is just going to be with our Mihawk. But this was actually unnecessary because he only had 1 down up, so he only can use 1 Gum Gum Giant anyways, so I could have just swung 5s and 7s. Because there wasn't multiple Gum Gum Giants. But yeah, that's our last game. Again, I just want to say thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, and or comment. Let me know if you have any questions or would like to see anything in future videos. I will be dropping Marco next on Sunday. So, which would be the full deck profile, and then probably another video like this, depending on what you guys think for Marco too. So let me know what you guys think, and see you next time.